Hey guys, we're going to take a look at lesson 13 and we're going to be on page 15. And I had printed this all out. That is not the name of today's lesson. So you're going to have to change this here. So lesson 13 is going to be regrouping and simplifying fractions. So regroup and simplify fractions. Okay, and then you'll have some space on there. I wrote a little bit big up here. So today we're going to just focus on looking at mixed numbers where we have a whole number and a fraction, and how do we regroup? How do we get that whole number back up into the fraction? So instead of having two numbers, we're only just going to have one fraction. So the quick way that I like to teach it is, we have three multiples of 3 here that make up a whole number. So we're actually going to use multiplying and then adding to get us through the regrouping process. We're going to take the denominator and we're going to multiply it 3 times 3. So we have 3 whole numbers, which would actually give us 9 parts in the fraction. So 3 times 3, which is 9. And then we're going to add the fraction part that we have already back into the fraction. So we have 9 plus 1, which equals 10 over 3. So this whole number 3, is going to make our fraction larger, and it's actually going to give us back to an improper fraction. So we have to be able to change a mixed number back into an improper fraction. And then today we're also going to take the improper fraction and then change that back into a mixed number. So just a real quick again, so 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 plus 1 will give us 10, and we are done regrouping. So this number is equal to 10/3. Using the same idea here, we have 4 as a denominator, and then we have 2 multiples of 4. So 4 times 2 is 8 parts out of 4. So now we turn it back into parts. And now we're just going to add the parts back into the fraction. So we're going to put the whole number back with the fraction. So now we just have one number. So 8 plus 3 is 11. And then the denominator is 4. So that's going to stay 4. So this fraction and whole number, 2 whole numbers and 3/4, 2 3/4 is equal to 11/4, and 11/4 is equal to 2 3/4. So how do we do that again? 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. So it's just, we are going to multiply and then add to regroup when we have mixed numbers. So just quick practice here. So we got 3 1/3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 1 is going to be 10. And we have 10 parts over 3 plus 4 times 2 is 8. And then 8 plus 3 is going to be 11. And that's going to be over 4. So we have 10/3 plus 11/4. Now we need to look at our denominators here. So from our modeling from yesterday, thirds, a fraction of thirds, and the fraction of fourths, these are not the same size pieces. They're not the same size fraction pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to change these fractions into the same size pieces. So we're going to cut these thirds up into fourths, and we're going to cut the fourths up using thirds. Mathematically, we're just going to multiply 10 times 4, 3 times 4, and then 11 times 3 and 4 times 3. And that's going to give us our two numbers. So 10 times 4 is 40, and then 3 times 4 is 12, 11 times 3 is 33, and 4 times 3 is 12. So now we have common denominators. We have the same size pieces. Now we can add these two fractions. So we had thirds, we had fourths, they're different sizes. Now we got them the same size. Now we can add the parts. So this is going to be 40 plus 33. 40 plus 33, so the total is going to be 73 twelfths. Yes, that is improper, and we're going to talk about that down below, but just make sure that we got our answer, 73 twelfths. So whenever we have improper fractions, how do we figure out, how do we simplify this? We need to look at our denominator. We need to look at our denominators and think of how many whole numbers can we get from the numerator. And we do that by thinking about dividing the numerator and then subtracting to see what's left over. So we're going to start with multiples of 3 that we can take out of this numerator. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So we're doing our multiples of 3. So multiples of 3, we can get one whole number, two whole numbers, three whole numbers, four whole numbers. But if we go here, we don't have 15. We only have 13. So this is too much. So we're going to use this 4 whole numbers. 13 divided by 3 is going to give us 4 whole numbers. And then we subtract 13 minus 12. So 12, that's how many whole numbers we have. We divided by 3, we got 4 whole numbers. So now 13 minus 12, we're left with 1 remainder. And then the remainder goes over 3, the fraction part that's left over. So we're left with 4 and 1/3. So this fraction, 13 thirds, means we have 4 whole numbers inside this fraction, and then we also have 1/3 left over. So we look at 15, and we look at the denominator. The denominator says 4, so we're going to use our multiples of 4. 4, 8, 12, 16. We're going to go as far as we can get as long as we don't go over 15. 16 is over that, so we can't use 16. So we've got 1, 2, 3. 12 divided by 4 is 3 whole numbers. And then 15 minus 12 is left with 3 as a remainder out of 4. So 15 divided by 4, we're going to have 3 whole numbers. And then 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. And then 15 minus 12, we're left with 3. So we are going to divide 15 by 4, we get 3, and then we're going to subtract to find our remainder. And so this fraction, 15 fourths, is equal to 3 whole numbers and 3/4 left over.